Olsen. Olsen. That's what they take to do when you're on.
I'm Jeremy Martin. I've been playing the bass since 2000, so this will be my 11th year. The bass is my primary instrument.
What did you play before?
Nothing.
I'm Dan Ashantuba. I'm a bass player. I've been playing since I was 14 or 15, which is a long time ago. And apparently I'm here to talk about music.
I play a lot of instruments.
Okay, tell me about those instruments.
Well, I mostly play anything that needs to get played. If I have to. Like, if I'm recording a song and it needs an instrument, then I play it. So, for example, I have played drums and bass and guitar and any number of keyboard instruments, ranging from, pianos and organs and synthesizers to whatever, vibraphones, things on that level.
Mm-hmm.
Percussion instruments, horn instruments like trumpets and clarinets, harmonicas, whatever needs to get played.
So you play everything, basically.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, the things that I'm most capable with are guitar and bass, and the thing that I'm best at is just building songs, building, structuring, and building a thing that needs to be built.
I suppose I like the attitude, generally speaking, and fit with my personality. There's something that's analytical and something that's a little laid back, playing bass, and kind of fit where I was coming from.
I discovered sort of a knack for it. I was pretty good at it, and I was excited about it and passionate about it, and so I pursued it. Once I discovered music, I pursued it as my primary objective.
When you're trying to layer a song, you're trying to understand how the frequencies are fitting together and how things are going to, like how the dynamic works, how everything fits. It's sometimes you need different sounds, sometimes you need different ideas, sometimes you don't need anything. Like it's crucial to be able to hear and to be able to, so I'm a very good listener of music.
You have to be very dedicated to be a professional musician, day in and day out.
Wouldn't you say that it's also a difficult career path to choose?
It is. There's no guarantee on success.
The main challenge, I think, is really simply put, practicing.
Yeah.
I love music. I love to take music apart. I love to listen to music. And when it comes time to practice, I'm usually doing something else.
To me, I mean, on some level at least, it's a function of not having language verbally. And so you create this other thing through this language that's more universal and also significantly older than any spoken language that we have.
I never been much of a songwriter at all. I've always been more. I'm more of an engineer, I think, by nature, and so I've been very interested in the technical side of music. That's why I was interested in music theory, because it was a new language. I like practicing my instrument because it's a technical practice. I'm just very scientific about it all. I'm not necessarily an artist, as I have this voice that I need to get across. I'm more of an artist in the way that I like to understand the craft that I'm in.
It's helped in, I'd say, in the availability of music and the availability of all sorts of various models for me to look at and listen to and enjoy. It's helped in the, I'd say in the home recording area where, you know, even to just make something that's a demo, you don't have to go to a studio, you don't have to pay outrageous fees or borrow equipment. You know, with a laptop and a microphone, you've got enough that with the software that's out there, you've got everything you need. The problem is it doesn't stop there.
Before I was involved with music, I was a pretty high-end, high-ranking computer nerd. And so when I got involved with music, I, of course, wanted to incorporate my computer knowledge of that. So that was sort of in the late 90s when digital audio workstations were getting their feet on the ground, and I was able to do 8-track recording, multi-track recording on my little 586 or my Pentium 3 at that point, I believe it was. I was able to do multi-track recording on that when no one else that I knew was able to do that.
I mean, it just is. It's how everything advances and everything is built. There's no, I mean, you know, things that we take for granted. You know, whether it's you know, something as simple as a drum. You know, that was a pretty crazy instrument at one point. Like, that was something that really was something that opened up people's ideas. You know, and same goes with guitars. I mean, you know, the guitar is not an old instrument. You know, and the electric guitar is even younger. So, you know, but we accept those now as generally, you know, part of the lexicon. You know, when you show up with an electric guitar, it's like, okay, this person plays music. Where, you know, 60 or 70 years ago, that would have been revolutionary.
I can see how older musicians who came up with these riffs might think it would be stealing, just because it's your song that you wrote and now you hear it being used. But throughout music, that's just been how musicians pay homage to other musicians, is just by quoting their music. And that's what they call it in music. If you play a line of someone else's music, like you're taking a solo and you play a solo of another song, you're quoting that other song, and that makes the audience realize that you respect them, and so this person listens to that too, and now they're referencing it, and so I should listen to that person. So in a way, you are advertising for the other music that you're ripping off, you know. But you can take that and make your own song, and that old song now becomes fresh again.
Mm-hmm.
So many people have ripped off Dolly Parton's music. You know, her boobs just get bigger every time they do that.
I've done it myself, and again, I've got great respect for those artists that can do it without losing sight of why they started doing it in the first place. I think it's something that will eventually become as organic as any other form of music, but especially in the early stages, it's something where you kind of walk that line between being a technician and being a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And I would prefer to hear something that's rough and technically lacking than something that is technically perfect and emotionally lacking.
Using samples and building music from other people's music, you know, it's the same as using the guitar. And you can do it badly or you can do it well. And if you play guitar where you know, it just sounds like someone else playing guitar and it just sounds really boring, it's going to be really boring. And it doesn't take the instrument being bad. You know, and it's the same with music that's built from anything. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can make terrible music with any number of instruments, but you know, you can also intervene, and you can create something with your own voice, and you can articulate things that are otherwise not said, even by the original artist, who, you know, whose work you are, you know, using as a tool.
The risk there is something that's always been present in art, the idea that people get very attached to their own ideas. And especially when somebody takes that idea and imitates it poorly, it can really piss off other musicians. You know, you take something that I labored a year to put out, and you reduce it to essentially a background track over farting sounds, and I'm going to be upset. It's a mockery of what I put so much work into. On the other hand, there are exceptional DJs, there are exceptional sample-based artists that can take something and bring it to another level, do things with it that I hadn't thought of and that I would like to hear. As far as who owns what, that's hard. Myself, I don't make any music playing, or I don't make any money playing music, so it doesn't really bother me. If someone were to take something I did and sample it and work with it, it would be very flattering. However, if my livelihood depended on it, I might have a different opinion.
I think it's a pretty much an obvious direction for music to take at this point. There's so much music that's out, and because people can create music in their bedroom or on their phones all the time, 24 hours a day, the output of music just goes up. So there's so much material that, of course, it's being borrowed from and being used.
Like any art, it's not something one does because they're hoping for compensation. It's something that is innately rewarding.
I get that artists want to get paid, and it makes sense. I mean, there are people who, you know, they commit to a life where this is their thing. Like, they don't know how to do other things, and they really have a value. But there's also this aspiration in our culture, you know, America in particular, and Europe, where we're sort of guilty of this idea that we aspire to this wealth and we aspire to this heroism that says, like, what I have done is so special that I deserve not only to get paid millions of dollars, but I also deserve to own this property in perpetuity, and I will never allow anyone else to use what I have done and piggyback on my success. You know, there's this possessiveness and this ownership, which it doesn't exist in a lot of other times or cultures.
Musicians almost shouldn't even care. If you're a musician and you care that someone's using your song in their own song, then you got too much of an ego. I mean, music is something that you play and it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not about making better art, and it's not about enriching culture. And if people talk about protecting artists' rights, it's generally not an artist. That's just it. I mean, you don't see that. You know, every once in a while you'll see, like, what I mean, there are stories that go back so far, and they're all out there. You can read about tons of them. It doesn't matter what giant band you think is awesome. You can talk. I mean, literally, like, you know, all those giant artists from the '60s, whether it's the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Led Zeppelin, they all got screwed over by management and publishing contracts. I mean, it's unreal, that part of the business. But you can see, I mean, none of it has to do with artist rights. That didn't, like, so little of that money went to Lee Dorsey, so little of that money went to Chuck Berry, so little of that money went to, and John Lennon's a rich motherfucker. He had a lot of money. But it's not about protecting his rights. And it never was. And it never will be. And as long as those companies exist, it will not work like that. So, that's how I feel about the fucking music industry.